Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Steven Corporate Services. Today, I will be teaching us on all we need to know about company registration. Now, our focus for this lecture will be basically on how to register a private limited company by share. Every single one of us must have had an intention to register a company before, and you've been wondering, how do I start, what do I need? But now you're not just learning this as a person who wants to register alone. You are learning this as someone who is interested in helping others, guiding others in the registration process for a company. So we'll proceed to our notes immediately, and we'll dive in with the following. So, how to register a company with emphasis on private limited by shares. So, we have a practical step-by-step guide for Nigerian Corporate Affairs Commission. So, here a quick list types of companies. For the types of companies, basically, we have three major types of companies. We have the companies limited by shares, we have the companies limited by guarantee, and we have the unlimited company. So our emphasis, as we said tonight, will be on companies limited by shares with strict sense to private companies. Now the reason why we are focusing on private companies is because out of 100% registrations that we receive in Nigeria, 95% would always opt for private company, and we're going to be seeing why in the course of the lecture. Now, for for company limited by shares, we have both private companies and we have the public companies. And we already know that for private companies, we're going to be looking at the criteria for a company to be either private or public. Concerning the guarantee, we have the public and private company by guarantee as well, and we know this guarantee is, I've explained it before and previously in our first lecture notes. The guarantee basically covers every single kind of company that is into business, but the profits from the business is used for the object. Like we have NGOs that are into business, or associations that are into business, or even a church that is running business. Anytime there is business involved with any charitable or non-government or non-business association, such association must register as a guarantee in order to carry out those businesses, and not as an incorporated trustee. Now, when looking at unlimited company, we we must understand that a lot of persons do not register unlimited company in Nigeria, and this is because unlimited company means that the risk does not have a limit. So, for instance, when a company goes into liquidation, and that is if a company loses all its assets, capital, profit, and everything, the people the company are in debt with, that is the debtors of the company, the people the company is owing, and everybody that can maybe sue the company and recover some debts from the company, those persons will have rights to get all the funds back and get whatsoever from the company without limit, and even as much as getting recovering every single thing from the owners of the company. So there is no limit as to how much or what they could recover until the amount that is owed has been covered. So that is unlimited company, but we're not going to focus on that. Our main focus is on company limited by shares, and we're focusing more on private companies. So why should you choose a private company limited by share? Basically, the reason why I would choose this is because it provides you with a separate legal personality. Like I just said, an unlimited company will not provide this, because a company who which registered as an unlimited company would not have any benefit of putting a stop to the amount that can be recovered at the event of a loss of business and all that. But a private company can put a loss, because a person who owns the company is different from a person who does not, and that is different also from the company itself. So you cannot sue the company and still sue the owner of the company, which is not possible in an unlimited company. So now we also have, like we said, personal owners, which I've said already. And it gives you your business credibility and increase investors. There are people that will not want to invest with an unlimited or a public company, or even um, a business name. They want to invest more with a private company because of the following things I've said above. And also, private company has flexibility with the rules and memorandum. It can easily be couched and arranged in a way that suits the people who uses it. So now, having said that, what are the legal minimums and key statutory features that are needed for public company registration? Number one, minimum members. For the shareholders, now you can register a private company with one person. A single member of the company is now allowed. You can use one person, one individual, to register a company. So if you are an agent and someone meets you and he wants to register a company and he is only one, doesn't have a friend, doesn't have a family member, it's just him, then the person can register a private company. But this will not be possible if it's a guarantee or a public company, because a public company must be two persons, while a guarantee must be two persons too. Please take note of that. Then also, the maximum persons for private company is 50. This is practical knowledge. You cannot register more than 50 persons. In fact, I've not seen a private company that have registered up to 10 persons before. The highest I've seen is 5 to 6 persons. But people can actually have that number, but the maximum is 50 persons. Now, with respect to directors, the director can also be two persons or one person, as the case may be. You can put more than two, you can put more than one, but the list is one person. A single person can be a director in a company. Then the minimum share is 100,000. But for practical knowledge, the minimum share is 1 million, because 100,000 is still the same cost as 1 million. Now, the share capital is what determines the cost for registration. The higher the share capital, the more you will pay to register the company. So if your share capital is 100,000 to 1 million, you are paying the same thing. If your share capital is above 1 million, you are paying a different fee. During our class tomorrow on the practical knowledge, we're going to be looking at how to calculate the stamp duties. So what are the forms or documents that you will need? Basically, what you will need is the following. You're going to fill up all these forms. It's not as if you are submitting this document per se. Now, for name reservation, you will just fill up the name and search for the name. Then after the name reservation, you fill up the director's details. Then you fill up the category for the share capital. Then you fill up all the addresses, necessary addresses. Then you still fill up the statutory declaration, and this is mostly done by lawyers. So if you're going to be registering, you have to be a lawyer, you have to be a chartered accountant or chartered secretary. Now, if you're using a lawyer's dashboard, let's say you're not an agent yourself, you didn't study law, you didn't study accounting, you're not a secretary, but you can use a lawyer's detail, a lawyer's dashboard. Then you have to also use the lawyer's particulars in the statutory declaration. If not, it will not be approved. Then also we have the secretary, but the secretary is optional, it's not compulsory. Directors, very important, you must have at least one. Shareholders, you must have at least one. Now, what are the documents that a person will need per company? So if it's a person that is going to be registering a company, the person must submit the following documents: a valid ID card, which can be, for a company, it can be a passport, national ID, driver's license, even NIN. So you must submit a passport, must also submit a signature on a sheet of paper white paper if possible, snap it and send. Then also, the after registration, you will notice that they must stamp a memorandum and article of association, that is the memat. There are three documents you get upon registration: the certificate of incorporation, the memorandum and article of association, and the status report. Now note, the memat must be stamped. If it's not stamped, that means CAC made a mistake. You have to call them immediately for it to be stamped, because if it is not stamped, you cannot take that document to any court. You cannot use that document before any court. It must be stamped. So if you're an agent and you get to see a document that is not stamped, then report it immediately to CAC. And if you're not an agent, a document that is not stamped, a memo that is not stamped, report immediately to the agent to notify CAC. Within 7 days, it will be rectified. That is if 7 days has not elapsed from the date of issuing the certificate. So you must make sure that you do anything you are doing, correction, anything within 7 days, else you pay the new fee, the fee for the correction and everything. You pay a new administration cost. Now, for statutory declaration of compliance by a legal practitioner, I've already explained that already. You have to fill that up, and it has to be the lawyer's detail. Also, after that, you get the certificate of incorporation. Then you have your receipts for payments. That is, there are two payments there. We have the filing fee payment and stamp duty payment. We're coming to that. Now, there are practical steps for you to work on the CLP dashboard of CAC. We have the first, which is to decide the company name and probably the structure in respect to the people who owns the company. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4 or more, right? So you have to determine that. Then also you have to also conclude the name with a word LTD or limited in full. If not, the name will not be processed as a company. So any company registry must end with LTD. This is practical knowledge. It must end with LTD, not just the name. So then after that, in respect to the memat, we do no longer prepare memat because we have an already drafted memat that is in alignment with the constitutional requirements in Nigeria, which is generally applicable to all sets of companies. What we do is that we adopt the already existing memat on the dashboard. Once it's adopted, you move to the next page. So some persons may wish to draft, but if you are going to be drafting, you have to go through the constitution and see the requirements, so that you must draft it in alignment to the constitution. And when you draft it, there are extra and additional requirements that you must pay attention to. Most times CAC will not even approve a memat that is drafted, because people will always make mistake. It's better to just use that which is already there. Now, the third one, you have to collect the ID, the photo, and confirm the addresses, the occupation on the dashboard. That is after uploading everything. There's a preview page to confirm all these things. You must confirm it, because if you make any mistake, it means that you will have to pay an additional administrative cost to correct that mistake. So if you're an agent and you're doing this, you have to be extra careful. Most cases, I send it back to my client and I request that they go through it and confirm it themselves, so that once it's okay with them, we'll make payment immediately. Now, what are the steps on the portal? After doing all this, then the next thing you do is to create the account. So what we do here basically is that you log into the website, and for creating an account, if you are using a dashboard by a portal, that is a portal owned by a lawyer, a chartered accountant, chartered secretary or accountant, or you are using any of these dashboards, you have a portal, then you don't need to create an account. You just log in with the details. But if you're using a public user, you have to create an account for every time you are logging in. And once you create an account, that account created would reflect your details. So most times we don't advise agents to use that account by a public user, because you will have the exact details of your client conflicting with your own details. So if you're going to be doing this as a professional, you must use the portal that is professional, and that is an agent portal. So then after logging in, you just reserve the name, to make sure you don't put in any restricted word. Thank God for the AI portal. Once there's a restricted word, it would immediately and automatically terminate that restriction. So you can't even proceed with that. So after reserving a name, the name is usually valid for 60 days. And after 60 days, the name expires. A client of mine asked me today, and he said, would it be possible to reserve a name and just leave it for a long time? And I answered, yes, you make the full payment, obviously, and you reserve the name. So whenever you want the name, you can come and complete it, but it can only be valid for 60 days. After 60 days, that name will no longer exist on the dashboard. Now, it is better to register your name as soon as you reserve it. Why did I say this? If you are using an agent and the agent reserves the name, that name can only be completed by the same agent. You cannot start a registration in a particular portal or a particular public user and switch to another agent or public user to complete that registration. It must be with the same persons. A lot of things can happen within 60 days. You can never tell if the same agent will still be alive to continue it. You can never tell what will happen to the agent details, or if the agent will still be in registration, will still be doing that. So the thing is that if you are going to keep it for 60 days, be sure that you should be in touch with the agent to know that the agent can continue the registration within that 60 days. Else, you may just have to wait till after 60 days if the agent is not able to access it anymore. So that is only the limitation with respect to this. Now, looking at the next, after the registration has the reservation has been done, then you go to the registration. Like I said, you put in the company data, all the information of the company email, company phone number, the company address, then the company specific object, and also the description of the object. It is a description where you see the explanation to carry on the business of, or to engage in the business of. This is where you explain what the person is doing, but you cannot touch anything on specific um object. You cannot touch anything on that. It's already fixed. We're going to be seeing it tomorrow on the practical class. So just have the idea that the first thing you do is to fill up the company details, everything on the company. Then the next is to put in the details of the directors, then the shareholders. Then after that, these details here basically mean the name, the age, the address, email, phone number. you know this is what you need to put in for the directors. The directors can be the same person as the shareholders, and the director can be a separate person from the shareholder, as the case may be. Now, after you're done with that, you move to the share capital details. You put in all the share capital and do the needful. We're teaching you how to calculate stamp duties and share capital tomorrow in the practical class. So we'll move to the next, which is to upload the necessary details for the MEMAT. Like I said earlier, you just adopt and then you move. So the MEMAT contains a lot of things, but most importantly, it contains the rules and regulation guiding a company. Now, after you are done with your registration, that is, you have uploaded the documents and everything, you make your payment, and you wait for company registration. You have to wait for minimum maximum 2 weeks, because though they're using the AI fast track system, that only applies to the business name, does not apply to companies. Companies still goes through manual review from CAC. So after applying online, CAC has to manually go through everything you have submitted on the dashboard before they approve it. It's not AI that goes through it, it's the people, personals working in CAC. So once they confirm that your details are in order, because of the whole upgrade going on now and everything, which I believe will be done soon, once they confirm everything, they make the necessary query if it is not in order. If it is in order, it will be approved immediately within 2 weeks maximum, and you get your certificate. Please don't let anybody out there deceive you that you get your certificate for corporate registration within 3 days. It doesn't work. I've done this for years now, and I've never seen when a company is registered within 3 days That is possible for a business name always, but a company, it is not possible. Please avoid those people that would, want to just make you feel good and later fail you, obviously. Then, after you have done the registration, you have gotten your certificate. Like I said, you're going to get certificate of incorporation, your status report, and the memo. These are the three basic documents you must get. Once you've gotten that, you move to the next, which is now this is what you do in order to be in compliance. So it basically means that after you've got CAC, it doesn't end in CAC. You have to proceed to other things. And as an agent, you should know how to do these things. You should know how to advise your clients that this is what they need to do, this is what they need to get, and this is how they need to do it. Now, once the certificate is ready and the remaining documents, you must get your TIN number. Though CAC offers a TIN number, which is fixed normally on the right left side of the certificate of incorporation, you will see the TIN number there. However, that TIN number does not work in the bank. It doesn't work with the regulatory agency that is in charge of issuing TIN, because CC does not have the right to issue TIN. It's not part of their duties. What they do basically is to make sure your company is in order, that is, it has the credibility and the validity of the law. So you could use it to proceed in applying for these things in other agencies. Now, with respect to the TIN, that is the tax identification number. So it is basically used for to validate your registration with respect to tax payments, and not just tax payments, also with respect to opening of a corporate bank account and being in compliance generally. If you have your TIN, you can proceed with a bank, get a loan in the bank, do whatever in the bank. You cannot get a loan. There are limits to the loan you can get from a bank if you are an individual. For instance, I'm an individual, probably in a month I earn maybe just 1 million or thereabouts, and then in a year my annual salary is maybe 12 million or thereabouts. Because I'm probably an average net individual, it means that what the bank consider is, okay, this is how much is able to, you know, coordinate in his account, so he'll be entitled to this. But once you have a business, a company account with the bank, even though you don't have up to that amount, probably you've never made up to 1 million naira or even two or more in your corporate account, you are entitled to getting a reasonable amount of loan. As long as your application and request is reasonable, you can get any amount of loan. And depending on the bank too, there are banks you will go to and definitely you wouldn't get that because of the type of bank. But there are banks, I don't want to promote any bank here, but definitely there are good banks out there that you go and propose certain things to, showing them your certificate of incorporation and all that, and your TIN and everything, your account, everything is in order. They will proceed and give it to you. But that doesn't happen to individuals. As an individual, you have to give a lot of reasons. Even if you are a high net worth individual, you have to give a lot of reasons why you need that loan. And definitely it doesn't go the same way with a business, because you are doing something. Now that is it. If you are getting your TIN, it's basically for your tax and corporate accounts, your bank dealings, and everything that has to do with that. It isn't the CAC that issues that. So for FRS, now FRS is the regulatory body that is in charge of issuing the TIN. I believe we've spoken about this a lot of time. Please, our advice, JTB thing, that is the Joint Tax Board, doesn't work all the time. Most cases you go to the bank and you see your client complain that it's not working. The bank will try to scan the code, but it wouldn't go through. But that is not the case with FRS thing. FRS thing is a authorized, recognized body that should be issuing it now, not JTB. So once you get the FRS thing, you are good to go with whatever you want to do. So our advice to go with FRS thing, and advise your clients to get it too. They can easily go to the FRS and apply for it. It's free, though they have to print a lot of things. get a lot of photocopy letters and all that. If the client cannot do it themselves, they can obviously contract you to go and do it for them while they pay you for the time. So once we're done with that, you can proceed and open a bank account. But before that, you have to also apply with the EFCC for your SCUME. Now, the SCUME is a certificate that is required to ensure that every issue with money laundering is not breached. So, in order for you to also get a corporate account, you must have SCUME. And companies, all companies must get SCUME. If it's not a company, probably a business thing, you don't need SCUME. But if it's a company, whether it's private, public, guarantee, you need a SCUME. And you can only get SCUME from ESCC. Most times you apply online for your SCUME, but you wait for a year or more and you don't even hear from them. You have to go to the office. You go to the office, they tell you that the headquarters is at Abuja and they have to send notice to Abuja up and down. You have to pay for that. Meanwhile, it is free. So it doesn't still work efficiently when you go to the office. But they are fast track agents. We can help you obviously with getting that done. That is the fast track, making sure what your work is fast tracked and you're able to get your certificates in time. So these are the basic three things that you must do after you've registered with CAC. So finally, registering a company requires expertise. And we have to, we have presented you with the most essential knowledge in the previous classes. Everything we've told you now is it's a fundamental basic knowledge. Whatever you've seen in the past, whatever we share with you, this is what is obtainable in practice. So if you have this knowledge, when we start our main practice class, you would gain more insights on the registration process for company. So once again, thank you for joining us today. As I promised, it's a brief class. There's really nothing much to talk about, but these basics. From tomorrow, we'll have a practical class on company registration where we'll show you even some requirements for finance company, some requirements for education companies, and engineering companies, and many more. So please don't miss tomorrow class. Thank you so much.